Hey guys, so in this tutorial I'm going to do one of the trickier case problems. This is tutorial 6, case problem 4, and it involves external references or 3D references. So if this is something you're working on, or maybe you just want to know what 3D references and external references are in Excel, watch this video so that you're one step closer to becoming an Office hero. So we'll start on step 4 in the case problem, and steps 1, 2, and 3 were just basically putting your name in and making a copy out of the Southeast, Northeast, and the Midwest workbooks so that we make these 3. So have these open, so open these all up. If you see at the bottom of my screen here, I've got all of these workbooks opened up, and we're gonna this is a little bit repetitive, so step 4 and 5s are a little bit repetitive. What I do to one workbook, you're just gonna have to repeat 2 more times with the other 2. So we're doing step 4 and number 5 3 times in the different workbooks. So I'm just gonna do this on one workbook and then I'll let you try it. So the first step is 4A, and it says group the salespeople, group their worksheets together. So I'm gonna start on more, click on it, and then I'm gonna click and hold the shift key and then click on Harvey S here so that it groups all of the worksheets, even though more is still the active worksheet that we start out with, and anything we do in this worksheet will be applied to the other ones and saves a little bit of time. So that is 4A. 4B says, this one is really tricky, and I had 2 different ways of doing it, so I'll show you both. Calculate the bonus sales for each month using the formula gross sales minus target, but there's a little bit of a trick here. A bonus will be paid only on sales over this amount. So what it's saying is if here's the gross sales for the salesperson. If it's over 20,000, then we want to calculate the difference, how much over the target sales were they, and then if it's not, then we're not going to calculate it. So in an if function, this is what that could look like. I have 2 different ways of doing it. I'll show you the one the textbook wants and the one I had as well. I had 2 different ways, but there's one where we can confirm the textbook. There's a way to tell that the textbook wants it, and that's in step 11, but we'll get to that later. So this is how your textbook would want it. It would be, and they're kind of throwing hints at you here, so that's good. So the gross sales minus, and then F4, because this is a singular cell and we want to be able to copy this down, so we want an absolute cell reference. If the difference is greater than 0, difference is greater than the number 0, which is true, then we do minus this. So you just kind of B4 minus, then we go ahead and take the difference minus this cell and then absolute cell reference that. And then if not, to do the next part, you actually have to put a 0. You can't just leave blank, so you have to put 0. Okay, so that's how the textbook wanted it. I had something similar. I'll turn it back, but this is how it would have the same result. It's just if you're using something like SAM, you probably want to go with how the textbook does it, but there's also a different solution in case you're going, well, I did something different, but I got the same results. So you could have, I did it this way. So I went, if B4 is greater than this number, which would have been this exact same thing, right? Also true. So yeah, so just know there's 2 ways of doing it. You're not going crazy. It's just, there's 2 ways of interpreting that, and it would end up in the same result, but this is actually how your textbook wants it. So take the difference if the difference is greater than 0. Okay, so that's kind of how they want you to do it. So I would stick with this one, this formula in the if function, and then make sure that this B20 is using an absolute cell reference so we can save some time and copy the formula down. Okay, so the nice thing is we're doing this to all of the worksheets. So that's how you calculate the bonus sales, and just double check, grab a random one here, and that worked. And then this one, the bonus amount. So to calculate the bonus amount, use the formula bonus sales times bonus rate. And then again, a hint that you might have to do an absolute cell reference because the bonus rate is only in one cell, and we want all of these cells to be multiplied by this bonus rate. So that's a simple one. It would just equal whatever they had for the bonus sale. This is why we have to put a 0, because you can't multiply anything by a blank cell. So we have to put 0. Some people have 0, some people won't, like this salesperson, that's okay. This percentage here, and then we have to absolute cell reference that so we can copy it down, save ourselves a little bit of time. And then use the fill handle to drag this down. And just make sure that worked. Yeah. Alright, so don't forget to use absolute cell references. Step 4 does hint that to you a few times, and then we'll make some formatting changes as well. So that's part of 4E. So it says bold the ranges. So bold these ranges here. A4. Actually, it says I must have missed this up where I put the total in. Oh yeah, sorry. 4D. Enter total in cell A16, and then actually calculate the totals. Okay, so type in total in cell A16, and then actually calculate the totals. So get out the auto sum. Press enter, and then just copy that formula along to the other two. And then, so now we're going to make the formatting changes. Now that we've got a total, we can bold that. And bold these as well, but we want to do the wrap text on these ones because they're not all showing. So we want to wrap text, so that changes. Bold that range as well. And then for the numbers that aren't the totals, we're going to use the comma style here with 0 decimal places. And for this one, we're going to use the dollar symbol with no decimal places. Alright, and just double check that worked on your other worksheets as well, so make these active before we ungroup them. So here we have this person that didn't match it for that month, so that worked. It just shows in the comma style, it would show instead of a 0, just a blank. Maybe we just have to widen this a little bit, so that's why it's always good to check your other worksheets. Just don't assume they look okay, and that's it. Okay, now we can ungroup. Now you just have to do that again for the other two worksheets, and I'll meet you in step 5. So if you want to take a pause here, complete your other worksheets the same way that we completed, or workbooks, the way we completed the Midwest one. Do that, and I'll meet you in step 5. Okay, so we're here in step 5. So assuming you've completed step 4 with all 3 of the new workbooks, I'm going to do the same thing in step 5, where I show you how to do all the changes in one workbook, and then you can do them the other 2 that are remaining. So I'll save you time on that one, showing you. So I'll show you once and then just repeat the same steps to the other 2 workbooks. So step 5 says, in 5A says make a copy of the first salesperson's worksheet and then rename it summary. So what we do is click on the first person's worksheet. I like to pull it to the right, so I'm going to hold down Control, then I click the person's Tuscany here, the salesperson, and just move it to the right. Okay, and then I'm going to rename it summary. Press enter, and then I'm just going to move it where they want it, which is right after the documentation sheet. So this is our new worksheet in the workbook, in the Southeast workbook, and we're going to get rid of. We'll keep the totals there, and we'll clear the contents here because we're going to get a 3D reference from all the other worksheets to get the summary of all the 4 salespeople in this workbook. And then we'll clear this because we don't need it. We're just getting totals here. And then instead of the person's name in here, you can come up with something. I don't think I think summary makes more sense. Just refer to the worksheet name. So we want the totals for. So this one we do equal sum. Open bracket, and then click on the first one, first person's worksheet, click and hold the shift key, go to Duncan A, and then click on the cell we want, which is B4, and then remember to close the bracket in the formula. Then press enter, and now it's pretty straightforward. You just copy the fill handle down and make sure there's enough room there. Oh, I have to make some more room for that one. Okay. And then just do the same thing here. So actually, let's see. Maybe I can copy this over if it gets the pattern. Let's see if it works. So C4, and it took the C4 from, yep, so that works. Then you just copy it down. Do the same thing here for the bonus amount. And then copy that down. And then we have all our totals in the summary worksheet. So now that we're done our 3D reference formula in the summary worksheet, we also have to, now we have to group all of the worksheets except the documentation worksheet. So we'll do, I've got the summary worksheet, and then I'm going to press and hold the shift key, click on the last worksheet here and set this up for printing. So I'm going to go to the page layout tab and then open up the page setup dialog box, go to the header footer option or the header footer tab. In the header, they want us in the right section to put the workbook name, and then right below it put the worksheet name. So that's right here, this icon, and then press OK. And then in the footer, they want your name in the right section, and then right below it they want the date. So make sure you don't click on the time one, you click date and press OK. And for a preview, now that we grouped those, we saved ourselves time because now we have that header and footer on each worksheet. And if you want to test it out, here's the first worksheet. I'm going to skip along. There's the second one, third one, and fifth one. Okay, so now you have the header and footer on each. So we'll go back. Now, just remember we just did that on one workbook. So that was the, I'm going to ungroup the worksheets like it tells us to at the end of that step. And then you just have to repeat that to the other workbooks. So you did that to one, so this was southeast. Now you have to go ahead and do those exact same steps to the northeast and midwest workbooks. So go ahead and do that, and then I will meet you in step 6. Alright, so now we're going to do steps 6 through 11, which is all about external references. So now that we have those 3 workbooks with the summary worksheet on them, now we're going to get a grand total of all 3 workbooks. So first thing you need to do is step 6 is go to the ICE summary worksheet, so open that up, and then we're going to go to File, Save As, and they want us to name it Cubed ICE Summary. So Cubed ICE Summary, and then save that and just leave it, go to the summary part of that, and make sure with the last 3 workbooks that we were working on that you have them open and nothing else open like a browser or anything. So then we go to View, Tab, Arrange All. We're going to go to Tiled. We're on the summary worksheet for all of them, which makes this next part really easy. So now we want the summary. So this is what we call an external references. This is what these sheets that we were just doing, the summary worksheets that we created in the other 3 workbooks, are called the source files. And this is called the destination file, where we're going to be putting all our data on. So we're going to type in the formula here, equal, and then make sure you take your mouse and click the proper sheets. So click on B4 in each one. You might have to double click it. So click once, and then click twice on the cell that you want. So click, and then unfortunately we can't do equal sum, so we just have to put in a plus symbol. And then make sure, and then the next worksheet we'll click in, so we want B4 from the other worksheet, so we click once to make this the active workbook, and then click it again to make that the active cell. And then I'm in my formula already, I'm just going to do a plus sign, and then I'm going to take my mouse over to the last workbook here, go to the same cell, click once to make this the active workbook, click twice to make that the active cell, and then we have our formula up here. So we have the workbook, the worksheet that we wanted, and the cell, and then we press enter. Now you could keep doing that all day, but that would take a really long time to do that for each one. So there's a little trick that the textbook didn't really tell you, is that you can take away these absolute cell references for each one. So for each external cell reference, press F4 3 times, and bring it back to a relative reference. So get rid of those dollar signs and just have B4 for each one. And that'll allow us to copy to the right and down. Whereas the textbook had us do a mixed cell reference, you can just make it a regular reference because they're identical worksheets. Make sure there's no dollar signs anymore, press enter. And then I'm going to copy this down first. So I get my gross sales totals, click to the right. And just double check when you're doing that there was no mistake. So this is C4. You should have the 3 workbooks, summary worksheet, and C4. And yep, that copied out properly, so that's fine. And then we just copy this down. And then again, just copy to the right, then copy down. So now that we're kind of done with these worksheets, I'm just going to maximize the summary the workbook, not the worksheet. And then we're going to make some of the changes that we did in previous steps. So we're going to put total here. Use AutoSum to get the totals. And then just copy it along here. We're also going to bold this range. So if this seems repetitive, it's because we've done it before, these formatting changes. And then we just have to change the number formatting as well to the comma style, no decimal places. Okay, so this is like our grand total for all the places, so you might not have enough room here. Let's see, $sign. Oh, you do. And no decimal places. So now that we have our external references from the other workbooks on this total, and then we're also going to, another step, we're going to prepare this one for printing too. So you have to do the same thing we did in the last step, or step 5. So header, footer, custom header is the workbook name and the worksheet. So yeah, same thing as before. And then right below it, worksheet name, press OK. Same thing as before. Your name here, just below it, and then put the date. And then you can just do a print preview just to make sure you've got it right. So workbook, worksheet, name, date. Yep, so that works. So that is, and then we just want to save it. And that is all the way from step 6 to step 11. We'll take on step 12 next. Alright, so we have one of those fun explore steps. So this is step 12. And it says, basically your boss said there was a mistake in one of the links. As you see in the external reference, there's actually an updated Midwest. You see this worksheet here, this is Midwest. So there's actually a error with that one. So there's a newly updated one. So now you see my numbers, 2 of them match the textbook, 1 of them doesn't, and that's fine. The only number we care about, which is identical to the textbook here, before we make the link change, is this one right here. So that's the only number we care about. Don't mind that this one's a little different. These 2 are still identical to what the textbook said, so this is the only one we really care about. So to change a link, we have to go to the Data tab, and then edit the links. And we're going to remove the Midwest one. Or just, actually, while it's highlighted, you could just say change source. Okay, and then we're going to make sure that we're going to click on the new Midwest one. Replaces that. So now you see you see the different number here, and it says 209,478, and that's what the textbook wants. That's the right number. And then we can just close. That's how you would change the workbook source. So now that you see where that book was stored, so with like the file path, and then the new, so we've added that in as well. So that's how you would change a link using the external references. And then we're going to save and close all of the open workbooks for Q Day. So all of these workbooks, just make sure you save and close them to get ready for step 14. Alright, so now step 14, we changed this template, the ICE template. So they're not very specific on the 2 parts that we have to change in this template, but I'm just going to assume that they mean change the company name on all worksheets here, so that kind of makes sense with the linking or grouping worksheets. So I'm going to change the company name in all of them. So I'm going to group all the worksheets, even the documentation one, and then change the company name to ICE Cubed. ICE Cubed, because it should be the same along all of the worksheets, not just that one. ICE Cubed. And then another tricky part about this one is there's a color that they want, dark green. So it's difficult. Do they want a green accent dark, or it sounds like they just want a standard color, but the dark green option really isn't there. So I'm gonna make it a dark green, like a custom dark green, and just assume that's what they want. So now if I check it, the company name, because there was really no dark green options, so I'm gonna make it darker green than just the regular green, even though there's no dark green option. And I checked through a variety of different themes, and there's no dark green, so I just made it my own. And then we can save this as be careful, don't save it as a workbook, save it as a template. So I'm gonna save it under where I saved everything else. and we want to call this, it naturally wants to change the template to a workbook. So I think that's the trick, is not doing that. ICE template revised. And then save it again as a template. As a template right here, Excel template. In the same spot, and they've changed the file location, so yeah, just make sure you, so there's the ICE template, and then ICE template, revised template. Alright, and then save it like that, make sure it says save as Excel template. And that's step 14. And then from this workbook, so now we're going to create another one. So we're going to save this as, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but save it as a, now we're going to save it as an Excel workbook. And then make some, and then just test it out. Okay, so ICE template revised, we're going to save it as a workbook. And then I'm going to test whether this works or not. Oh yeah, sorry, enter your name in here. I'm sure you know how to do that, so I'm going to skip that step. Number 15 in the salesperson one we have to test. So 10,000. See if that worked. We'll just copy it down. Our totals work, and then we'll put in the one bonus rate is 1. 5,000 for target sales. Let's see if this should work now that we've got everything in there. So if the target sales are 5,000, that should be bonus amount 5,000. Yeah, everything works. So you tested that. Save this workbook as, so again, oh, now we're going to have to change the name to cubed ICE test. So this is our test workbook. If you wanted to test that the formulas that we put in actually work. And that is it. That is step 17. We are done. That is it for tutorial 6, case problem 4. I hope that was helpful, whether you had this as an assignment in class or if you were just someone that wanted to know what external references were and 3D references were. I'm going to have another video just like this on the next chapter about one of the trickier case problems in tutorial 7. But while you're waiting for that, I've got 2 videos you can watch, and if you're new to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe so that I can help you become an office hero. Watch this whole thing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.